morning. You're about to hear the finest in musical programming on WPTH Stereo 95 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. WPTH is owned and operated by Sarkis Tarzian Incorporated and operates on an assigned frequency of 95.1 megacycles with an effective radiated power of 44,000 watts by the authority of the Federal Communications Commission. Our studios, office, and transmitter are located at 3333 Butler Road in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Portions of our programming on WPTH are mechanically reproduced. WPTH Stereo 95, musically yours 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Good morning.
The thing I don't understand is why he wants to eat the Roadrunner in the first place.
A legitimate question, young man, deserving a legitimate answer. Now then, I can easily understand why it should puzzle you that a person of my intelligence, IQ 207, super genius, should devote his valuable time chasing this ridiculous Roadrunner. This bird that appears to be so skinny, scrawny, stringy, unappetizing, anemic, ugly, and misbegotten. Ah, but how little you know about Roadrunners. Actually, the Roadrunner is to the taste buds of a coyote what caviar, champagne, filet mignon, and chocolate fudge are to the taste buds of a man. Now observe this chart. This exquisite delicacy is completely without waste. Each cut and each feather comes in a dazzling array of flavors. Banana, asparagus, papaya, licorice, vanilla, sponge cake, and celery. Pardon me. Candied yam, caramel, salami, tamale, chop suey, noodle, pork chop, and Wisconsin cheddar. Excuse me again. Double martini, very dry, bratwurst, Yorkshire pudding, and pistachio. But see for yourself. 4,000 recipes for Roadrunner.
So what more do you need, right? Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Welcome. Show 139 of Ham Radio Live. Please hit the subscribe button. We don't monetize. You won't see any ads here, you know, telling you about everything you need that you don't really need, but you got to wait 5 seconds to need it off your screen. No monetization. Just had to, ask to please subscribe. Helps people find the channel here on YouTube. Got some big news today. Plus, talking about some upcoming reviews as well. Help your shack shine even brighter. Might be interesting to you. I'd like to welcome you to the show today, everybody. Wherever you may be, hello to my friends in the Middle East and Bahrain. We've got some folks in Europe. Welcome to the United States. We've got folks from Australia. Welcome. It's good to see you. Today's the 8th of February, 2021. So, okay, let's just open the show with confirmed news from Yaesu. Okay, yesterday it was announced on the show, there was a rumor that Yaesu was dropping the FTDX 3000 as well as the FTDX 5000. Okay, I've confirmed with the company that yes, the Yaesu FTDX 3000 has been discontinued. There are no more units being shipped out of Japan. So, no more 3000s. So, once all the remaining inventory within ham radio stores around the world is exceeded, then that will be the end. So, the Super Heterodyne 3000 that came out back in 2012 will no longer be in production any longer. So, if you want to get yours, still time. Just about everybody has one. I haven't found a location, and I did check from the U.S. continent into UK, and Walter Stanton has them. So does Gigaparts and DX Engineering and Ham Radio Outlet. They all still have inventory. They will carry the 3-year warranty with Yaesu. It's your last chance to get a brand new FTDX 3000. Now, in terms of the FTDX 5000, there is no confirmation from Yaesu that is being dropped. The 5000 has no current plan of being dropped from Yaesu. So that leaves Yaesu now with 3 superhets. That's what they have left. They now have 3 SDRs. Think about it from a desktop perspective, right? And if you're going mobile, you add the SDRs, sorry, the superhets that they have. Their mobile units they have are the 818 and the 891. And then for your desktop, they still have the 991A, which is a shack in the box, and they have the FTDX 5000. So that's what Yaesu still has for super heterodyne radios. ICOM, of course, still has a 7100, and they have the 8600 receiver as well. So that's what they've got left. So the 3000 is now no more. Too bad. It's a nice radio, fantastic transceiver, and have really enjoyed my experience with the FTDX 3000. But if you still want a 5000, you know, they're still planning to keep making those. How much longer, we'll see. But right now, just the 3000 is going to be in the history books. Hi, Stu. Welcome from Great Britain. It's always a pleasure to see you. Good day to you, my friend. Good evening. He is Golf 7, Whiskey Alpha Yankee. It's a pleasure to see you, Stu, as always. You know that. Tom in Bahrain, what a joy it is to see you. Thanks for being here, Tom. It's late where you are. Wow. It's like, what, 10:20 at night where you are. Dennis, remembering the old radio sign-offs. You know, that's an interesting one. That sign-off is actually, you can tell if you've done radio for a while and you've been in radio by the sound of it. That's not a broadcast version. That's the actual version from the station. Most likely their reel-to-reel cut of their sign-on and sign-off. So kind of a neat little tidbit there. At the end of today's show, the sign-off that we're going to be showing is iconic. It is so iconic. Everyone in Northern California would remember this one, unless you're really young. There was a station that came out the mid-60s. It was right when the British invasion hit. It was 610 KFRC, huge station for Northern California. And KFRC was on the air with Top 40 from 1965 up to 1986. Fantastic radio station, legendary. And not only in the Bay Area, but also in the United States, very well known. Many of the United States' top air talent dreamed of going on 610 KFRC. We have a little tidbit. It's an edited version of the final show from KFRC when they were top 40. And what they did was they brought in air talent who had been on KFRC over the generations to come back and do a short shift on the station. Pretty cool. So we'll play that at the end of this show so you can relive a memory of the very last moments of one of America's most iconic top 40 AM stations in 610 KFRC. Welcome to the show. Good to see everybody. Going to do some test questions for both generals and technicians. So folks that are looking into getting into ham radio, these could be helpful tools for you, as well as see if we'll make a call on the FTDX 10 and some news on a review for you that don't have the room for a top band antenna. Say, for example, you live on a lot like I do. I live in basically a suburban lot, best way to describe it, 50 by 75. Well, if you're going to build a wire antenna to work 160 meters, you need over 230 feet of wire. You do. So it's a huge antenna. To undertake that is Herculean. It's hard to do. Cushcraft makes a monoband vertical for 160. We're going to be putting it together. We got to get a little bit better weather, but we'll get it up and we'll do a full review on the Cushcraft 160. So for you folks that would like to work top band and get on 160 and have some fun with some folks, that's going to be a great review. Looking forward to that. That's coming very, very quickly. So hang in there for that. The Cushcraft 160 monobander. All right, let's take a look at your comments to catch up with y'all. Andy Bronson back from the UK. Good to see you. He's Mike 7, X-Ray Tango Tango. Cold and snowy in Great Britain right now. Yeah, they say it's coming here. We're going to get a little bit out of the Yukon coming our direction, but they're unsure if it's going to be snow or not. You know, where else can you make a living but in forecasting, right? Well, it might happen and it might not. And you can be wrong a lot and still keep your job. It's okay. Tough to do. Forecasting is hard to do. Stu says, I've decided when I retire my FT2000, I may be tempted by the Yaesu FTDX 101 MP. Stu, best transceiver I've ever used. The very best. And you know what? Really, quite honestly, this is very, very close. Receiver-wise, they're identical. There's no question they're identical. The FTDX 10 and the FTDX 101 are identical. They are. I mean, you look at Sherwood's report, and yes, it's number 3 versus number 1, but the numbers are so minuscule, and you're looking at test bench numbers that you would not notice. You just wouldn't. Now, how it works for you is going to be very similar to the 101. It really is. I actually am bringing back the 101 here to the channel because it was the very best I ever used. And I thought, why change it? You loved it. So that's why the 101's coming back here. It's a phenomenal transceiver. And yeah, the VC tune's kind of nice. I don't think and Bob Nagy gave me a bad time on this. Bob has a YouTube channel as well, AB5N. Bob's a great guy. He said, Larry, I bet you'll never use that VC tune on the second VFO. I bet you never use it. And I hate to say it, but he was right. He really was. That's something that the MP does have, is dual VC tune, as well as an extra 100 watts. So yeah. MP, great choice, no question. Hi there, Norm. Good to see you. He's November 1, Tango Lima Foxtrot. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Happy Monday, Norm. Good to see you. He says he owns an FTDX 10 and loves it. It is a great transceiver. The front end is phenomenal. Really is. Hi, Lee. Good to see you, buddy. Yaesu changing their radio lineup in the last 12 to 18 months. Yeah, 450D gone, 1200. Well, 1200 is about 18. Yeah, 18 months ago. You're right. Yep. And now the 3000 discontinued. Yeah. See the trend? Super hets. Yeah. And it's because of the price of parts, guys. It's expensive. You know, look at the price of the FTDX 3000. We've watched them, right? They were like $1,200-$1,300. Then they spiked up to like 15 and change. Then they're up to like 16 and change. Now it's over 17. It's because of the price of parts. Super heterodyne parts aren't in demand like they were years ago when everyone was making super heterodyne radios. Now that people are making SDRs like ICOM and Ullacraft and Yaesu, right? Those parts aren't in as much of a demand. Then add to that the coronavirus, which is slowly, making factories churn out these parts. And for these factories to stay in business, they have to charge up for those parts. I mean, that's just common sense. So yeah, we've lost the 12,000, the 1200, the 450D, and now the 3000. You're right. Stu says, I think I made a mistake buying the FT2000. It was 9 years old. Maybe next year I'll look at a part exchange. Yeah, the 2000 is not a bad radio. The 5000 next to me here has a lot of the 2000 in it, especially around the VFO. Very similar. Good to see you. He's in November Juliet 7 Lima from Portland, he says. Goodbye. The call sign's not from Portland, but okay, we'll go with it. I like it. I wish Portland was the town it was that I grew up in. It's changed so much, unfortunately. Donald Bush, good to see you. Good afternoon. Very best to you as well. Whiskey Alpha 2 Tango Papa Union / QRP.
Are you not entertained?
Yes, absolutely. QRP's great. Love QRP. Hi, Toby. Welcome from Germany. Good to see you. Happy Monday to you as well, my friend, as always. Thanks, Toby. Good to see you, buddy. All right, so let's get through a few of the test questions today. Again, we'll be getting the 101 in direct comparison coming up here, so you can just see how close they are. You're not going to really see much of a difference whatsoever in the receive capabilities of the 101 compared to the FTDX 10. They're just identical, really. And we'll also do one down the road with a 7300. I know some folks have done it. I don't know if it's necessary. We'll see. I do want to do one, though, so you can see how I did it for my chair, because that's why I bought it. I bought it because the size of the transceiver allows me to use it right from the comfort of my zero gravity chair. And I'm so thrilled. Haven't done it yet because I've kept it here in the studio so we can do shows with it, but it's coming. James, welcome. You're not late. You got here just in time. Welcome. Mike 7, Bravo X-Ray Tango. I want answers. What is going? What? You did not get the notification from YouTube? Are you kidding me? It should have happened. Wonder why that didn't happen. My goodness. I thought that should happen right away. Sorry that didn't happen to you, my friend. Will Myers is here as well. Kilo Alpha 8, Golf India Mike. He says, hello all, good afternoon from Bruce, Wisconsin, also known as the Great White North. It is cold up there. I remember living up there. Yeah. And John's here from frigid Canada. Check this out. Canada, minus 59 Fahrenheit with the wind chill. Man, you got to be a real strong man up there. That's hard stuff. So welcome to the show, guys. All right. So we try and do a channel here that helps to bring people into ham radio. That's part of our passion. But also, the point is to try and make it not too long so we can get into stuff for folks that like ham radio too. Give me a few moments to go through those test questions for the folks that find them interesting and helpful, because we do find joy in people that make it on the air because we get a chance to help them a little bit. And that's an honor and privilege. Okay, there we go. First question. Volunteer examiners are accredited by what organization? So in the United States, to get your FCC license for ham radio, you have to be tested, okay? And the test has to be administered by someone, okay? In the US, it's by 3 someones. They're called volunteer examiners. And their name kind of explains everything. They are volunteers, and they examine you taking your test to make sure you take it right and that you get a passing score. Okay. Who accredits them? Who's the one that makes sure that they're qualified to do it? It becomes C, the volunteer examiner coordinator. That's the person that is essentially the head honcho of the volunteer examiners. They coordinate them. They make sure that they're accredited to be able to give the tests, as well as send them out to various test sites to give tests. So volunteer examiner coordinator, also known as the VEC. That's the person who does it, okay? So this is on the general exam. And folks in the United States, this is the second highest level. I'm going to move now to technician, so this makes more sense. We'll start from the bottom level and we'll move our way up. I didn't realize they rendered this way. Here we go. Technician. First 2, what can happen if a lead acid storage battery, so that's like the battery in your car, okay? Your car, your truck. What can happen if a lead acid storage battery is charged or discharged too quickly? Just remember, the battery could overheat or explode. Just if you remember that. Boom, kaboom, that's it. You'll be good. You don't have to worry about the voltages ever being reversed or the battery having some memory effect. No, it's just that the battery could overheat, give off flammable gases, or explode. Because remember, you've got lead acid battery here. You've got acid inside. That acid bubbles up, creates fumes, okay? That's why it can give off flammable gas. Okay, that's the reason they explode. All right, next question. Which of the following establishes grounding requirements for an amateur radio tower or antenna? Okay, so this is something to keep in mind for electrical safety. All right, this has nothing to do with the FCC. This is simply how to ground your antenna properly. Okay, check with local electrical codes. That's the rule book on how to ground your antenna. And it may be different in some places. You know, there might be different requirements. Don't be afraid to contact like a local union electrical shop. Tell them you're a ham radio operator putting up an antenna and you'd like to make sure to do it right. Okay. What do they recommend you do? And the first thing they're going to probably say is, I have no idea. Just ask if they could take a look into it and help you. Okay, that's the best thing you do because you want to do it right the first time. Because, you know, if lightning strikes your antenna, it's going to destroy it anyway. But what you don't want it to do is destroy what's inside your house too. That's the big deal. Okay, remember, disconnect your stuff. Even if you've got, you know, lightning protection on it, just disconnect it. It's just easier and it's safer. It's your for sure insurance policy. All right. Which of the following actions might amateur operators take to prevent exposure to RF? Now, new hams, RF is radio frequency, radiation in excess of the FCC supplied limits. Now, okay, don't be freaked out by this if you're looking to get a ham radio license. The word RF radiation comes across as something extremely dangerous like Chernobyl. Okay, Toby had mentioned that in yesterday's show. It's not like that. All right. there are certain maximum permissible limits, exposure limits you can have to radio frequencies and be okay. Otherwise, it could heat up your body tissue. It could cause problems. You get burns from it. Lots of things can happen, okay? Now, of these two, okay, there's actually three. Of these three options, let's look at them. Which of the following actions might the ham radio operator take to prevent exposure to harmful levels of RF radiation? Okay. B, let's go from B down. B, relocate the transmitter. The transmitter is not the problem. That has nothing to do with it. Okay. C, increase the duty cycle. That makes it worse. The duty cycle means you're transmitting longer. Okay. It just means a longer period of transmission. Not a good thing. That doesn't decrease things. It doesn't prevent. You have to relocate your antenna. That's the answer. The antenna is the piece that creates the RF out to the world. Sure, the transmitter makes it, but the antenna is where it comes out from. So you relocate your antennas, and that way you can prevent harmful RF exposure to other people. Best way to describe that. Okay, let's see here. James did not come on the screen at the start, was watching for it. Sorry about that, buddy. Hi, Rob Sabato from Northern New Jersey. He's Kilo 2 Whiskey Radio Delta. Rob, it is an honor to have you here. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Thanks for coming. We had a neat sign-off yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that you would remember. It was from when PLJ signed off from Top 40. Hi, Jim. Good to see you. WX7Q. Another good call sign. That's like one of those radio call signs. WX7Q. Love it. Jim, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it, bud. All right. Next question for technicians trying to help you license up. Only two more on this, and then we'll move up to general. When is willful interference to other amateur radio stations permitted? Okay, look at the question, and it gives you the answer. This is one of the easy gimmies. Okay. When is willful interference allowed? That's basically it. When can you willfully interfere with somebody else's contact? The answer is never. You don't ever, no matter how mad someone makes you on the ham bands, you don't fire up your amplifier, start tuning up on frequency. You don't start whistling. You don't start making noises or trying to create any kind of interference. You just simply let it go and move on. That's what you need to do. Willful interference basically means intentionally trying to mess with somebody else's signal. We don't do that in ham radio, okay? If you get frustrated with it, turn the radio off and walk away. Best advice I can give you. Last question. It's on the technician today. What's the maximum peak envelope power output for the technician class operators using their assigned portions of the HF bands? All right, so you get your first license, which is technician in the US. How much power can you use? And this may seem like nothing to an incoming ham or an interested ham operator. The answer is 200 watts. 200 watts of transmit peak envelope power. Now, for people who are going to be in ham radio or who would like to, first of all, 200 watts doesn't seem like a lot. And peak envelope power might be confusing, okay? Let me show you real quick on this what peak envelope power looks like. Peak envelope power on that meter at the top left means that when you're transmitting, it doesn't mean it's going to be right at 150 watts when you're speaking. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is the meter is going to deflect around when you're speaking, and it might get close to that amount at 200 watts in this question. It might get close, but it's not going to hit it. It won't. Peak envelope power is simply the highest it can go, but it's not going to go there. Okay. Peak envelope power. Again, the emphasis on peak. You're not going to hit it most likely, but it's capable of doing that, but no more. And 200 watts in really good conditions, when we have lots of sunspots and the ionosphere is charged just right, you can work a long ways with 200 watts. I mean, many, many thousands of miles. You really can. Okay. The key especially is if you have a directional antenna. That's the main point. You get a directional antenna to point that transmit signal somewhere. Now you're working continents, not states. Big difference. All right, on to the general real quick. A few questions on the general, we'll move on. What precaution should you take whenever you make adjustments or repairs to an antenna? So you've got an antenna, you're making some changes, maybe something broke, maybe something bent. You could have damage from a storm, okay? First thing you do is you turn off the transmitter and you disconnect the feed line in that order, okay? First, you turn off the transmitter, disconnect the feed line. Second, you don't do it backwards. You don't, because if somebody happened to be at that transmitter, or say, for example, you forgot, oh, I'm doing FD8. No! Yeah. Oops. You grab a hold of that coax, you start to, unscrew it from your antenna, and all of a sudden, yeah, got a problem. You don't want to do it that way. So do it this way. Turn off the transmitter first, then disconnect the feed line. There you go. Next question. Which size of fuse or circuit breaker would be appropriate for use with a circuit that uses average wire gauge number 14? And this is big because this is what most bedrooms are wired with. It's 15 amps, okay? Why this is on the test is practicality. Most hams are going to put their radio in a bedroom, somewhere in maybe a spare bedroom, okay? Those bedrooms are fed with 15 amp circuit. That's what they are. And they use number 14 wiring. So it's not going to be enough for you to go downstairs into your garage or wherever your fuse panel is, your circuit breaker panel, and just change out the circuit breaker to 20 amps, because now you're running the radio, a tuner, and an amplifier, and it's pulling so much amperage that your power is going out in there. Okay. So 15 amps uses 14 gauge wiring. That's how it works. Now, when you're running a lot more stuff, like I just mentioned, say a radio, you've got a tuner, you've got an amplifier, now you probably need 20 amp service. That requires the average wire gauge number 12. That's the difference. So you simply either can do it yourself with the right information from the National Electrical Code or people within your state to help you, or get a licensed electrician. It's better that way, because then you get the permit when you go to sell the house. Yeah, what's this wiring in this bedroom about? Well, we've got a permit. It's signed off. The county signed off on it, and it's legal. Okay, best way to do it. That way, when you rewire your shack, it's done right. You have permits. They've been accepted by the county, and it's much easier to sell your home because you'll get through the inspection process. All right, last question on the general. Which of the following frequencies is the general class portion of the 40 meter band? This is a great point where you can really use that formula, 300 divided by the frequency. All right, because two of these are not even on 40 meters. They aren't. C and D are not on 40. B and C, sorry, wait, C and D are not 40. A and B, kind of. Okay. So if you go 300, which is essentially the speed of light, which is how radio waves travel, 300, and you divide it by, in this case, 7.250, okay, you're going to come up with this answer. 41.379 is close to 40. That's just close enough, okay? Really, the 40 meter band, and this is really important for new hams to understand, okay? The 40 meter band is not something that really is the 40 meter band electrically when you use ham radio math. It just isn't, okay? So, I mean, you have to get, I believe it's the 7.275, I think. Let me see here, 7.275. No, not even there. So even at the top of 40, doesn't translate, just doesn't, but it's close. And that's why you pick 40. Okay. B, and this one could throw people. Okay. But you divide this by 300. Okay. You're now right at it. You see, if you do this, if you take the math and you go 300 divided by 7.5, you're at 40 on the button. But we know that's not the 40 meter band. That's off frequency. This is a very important question. And this is why I want to end with this. Okay. The formula 300 divided by the frequency works very well. But knowing the band plan is just as important, because if you use that math to determine your frequency, you're going to pick B every time, because it's exactly 40 meters. That's why it's there. It's there to throw you. So use the same formula, the 300 divided by the number, but no on 40, no place on the 40 meter band for the ham bands is actually 40 meters. It's there because of heritage. It's not there because it's real. Okay. Same with 20, same with 17. That's the way it works. Okay. When you're on 80 meters is really 3.750 down, but 3.751 up is considered 75, yet many people consider it all 80 meters. Okay. So keep it in mind for young hams or people who want to get in ham radio, do not pick 7.5 megahertz because it's off the ham bands. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. It's a Monday, and again, the big news from Yaesu, the 3000, is being discontinued, and once stock gets out of all those ham radio stores around the world, you will no longer be able to buy it. Welcome, Adesh, all the way from Trinidad. Welcome, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Send us some nice warm weather, would you please? We're tired of this. Dave from Temecula is here. He's Whiskey 6 Charlie Radio Tango. Welcome, Dave. Wow. How's the weather in Temecula today? I hope it's nice and toasty warm. Man. We're supposed to get down in the 20s, which is cold for us here. Maybe a little colder. Be interesting to see how it goes. You know, it's that time of year. The airy months, you know, January, February. Yeah, the way it goes. On the rig cam, let's take a look. We're on 17. Now notice, take a look here above. You see the band pass right below 7 megahertz on VFOB? It's got a bump. See that? See the bump there? That's because of just the contour. The contour now doesn't have a dip. It has a bump. I want to show you today on this radio the difference in how it sounds. Okay. So adjusting this out, let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. Okay. On the rig, pardon me. When you go on the rig and you adjust this area right here, okay, you're on the right side of the VFO, okay, the contour, okay, you either press it in when the light goes off or you press it on. All right, now if you hold it in, it now gives you a chance to adjust it, okay, that's what it does. You can also adjust it through menus. Now I'm going to show you on the rig cam here, the direct feed from the rig, exactly what I'm talking about. Press the function key, and then we're going to go down to radio settings. Okay. So radio settings is at the bottom left corner. Okay. So you just press on radio settings. All right. Now we're on mode SSB and you scroll down. You see all the adjustments you have, and you see right here, I've got it set for a 3K bandwidth. Okay. That's how it's set. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Operational. Sorry. All right. So general, and we're going to go to the contour rate on the transceiver. And I did this a couple days ago, and it's different on all of these transceivers. I'm just learning this. So you got to bear with me, please. It is something that you adjust out. And it's the same with the 3000. The 5000 has this. The 101 has this. They all have this. Sorry, it's on digital signal processing. Brilliant. I don't know how I missed that. I'm trying to not make a mistake. And in doing so, I'm making a mistake. Sorry. So again, to find this, all you do is you go to operation setting on the lower left. It's kind of the center in the blue, the center blue button, which is, this is where your field programmable gate array is all adjusted from. That's the radio settings. This is where the computer adjusts the radio, okay? So you go to operational setting, you're on RX digital signal processing, contour level. All right. Now standard, this radio comes at -15, see? Okay, let's take a look and a listen on frequency at what this sounds like. And I want to show you why. Now, if I hit the contour, take a look again below 7 megahertz on VFOB, you're now going to see a dip in the band, in the pass band. Watch. See the dip now? It no longer is a bump, it's a dip because now we're -15 hertz. All right, let's listen to what it sounds like on a signal. Find somebody here. Let's go to 20. But we're way up. Holy moly. That's crazy. You know, another thing you can do with this, if you hit just the hertz, okay, you can just type it in. So 14250 and enter. Whoops. I guess you got to put the zeros. Sorry. 14.2. Whoops. 14.2. Larry, come on. 250. 000 and enter. There we go. Sorry about that. So that's the direct entry. I'm going to pull off a little bit of the RF, the decibel level here, so we don't have such a strong waterfall. We're going to turn down the front of the radio so it's not quite so sensitive. So we're seeing all that hash on the screen. All right. Now we'll listen to it. Some RFI today. Look at that. Tune it real quick. It's going to bring the gain up a skosh. Okay, so there's the signal. Now watch what happens when we hit this and we adjust the contour. All right. Now listen. Notch. Listen to the contour though. Now, if we pull it off, watch. Hear that? This is what the contour level adjustment does on this receiver. Let me pull off a little bit of compression for you. It's a little hot. Hear it coming up. See? Right in there. Hash comes out. You see what it does? The hash comes out of it as you move the contour down. It's one thing to have the contour function in there, but another thing to adjust its level. More hash. Takes the hash out. I like this here at 16. Okay. So if you're going to use the contour now, you press the button, add the contour, and just simply adjust the knob. It helps you with digital signal processing to help bring in a weak signal. That's the main point of it all. When you're adjusting your contour, when you bump it, all right, it's going to change the way the contour works, whether it's this radio or another one that's using a different type of digital signal processing. But play around with it. Find what works well for your ears. I find the contour setting on this radio actually is a lot different than on the 3000. On the 3000, for example, which of course we talked about it being discontinued, it helps to bring up the gain. The gain on it increases when you bring down the contour. On this one, if you keep the contour down, your gain increases and your hash decreases. Does that make sense? So you are hearing the hash and all that, you know, that gnarly hashy noise that's typical to 20 meters, but it kind of mitigates as you bring it up. That's one of the things that helps you on this radio on the contour setting. So, little helpful thing. We'll see if we make a call and say hello to some folks, okay? Stu, nice to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here as always. Have a wonderful Monday evening there in the UK, all right? All right, and Kev, M0, MCL, just demonstrated what I like with the new Yaesu rigs. Ease of adjustability. Worth mentioning that the default settings are highlighted in yellow. Correct, yes. When you use this transceiver or use the 101, the factory settings are always set in yellow. That's what they are. Now, when you move them, let's say, for example, you forget where you set it, but you want to go back to factory settings. Just turn it back until it turns yellow. Kevin, thanks for sharing that. You're right. Now, for your ears, it might be different than what my ears like. But the beautiful part about this is the adjustability is there. One of the things that I do like about this transceiver over something like the 3000 or the 1200 is the adjustability of DNR. That's really big because the DNR section on the 3000 and the 1200, you have to adjust its level through menus. Here, you don't. Let me explain how, okay? Real quick, we'll go to the rig cam from the front, and I'll show you real quick, see if they're still on frequency. Okay, so we've got this one. I'm going to lock this. Okay, and again, it's because these buttons are so close to where your finger is. It's easy to bump it. All right, so weak signal, DNR, hold it in. You can adjust it. You got to be quick to move on to the function setting, okay? Won't do it with your lock. That's crazy. Okay, well, all right. That's something I don't like. So DNR, weak signal. Here's without DNR. And let's take the notch and contour out. It's going to get loud. I'm going to pull down the AF. All right. So DNR. DNR off. DNR on, but it's only on one. Now listen. Now, because we've got a timer that's set with the DNR button, you have to go back and hold it again because it's only on there for 3 seconds after you stop turning the function button. So again, hold it down. You can bring it up more if you want. Okay. All right. Now let's add the contour. Again, this is a lot of DNR. This is a ton of DNR. I like to run this about 4. That's where I usually like to have it. Right about here. And that's why. If I want to pull a little bit of the hash out, I hit the contour. Okay? Still hear the signal, but I pulled the hash out. See? Contour on, contour off. There you go. Okay, so a good explanation of how those two things work. But again, on the 10, the only thing that kind of, and I think I hope they change this with the firmware update, the timer thing is literally 3 seconds. Whether you want to change bands, use DNR, adjust the DSP of any kind, you got 3 seconds. That's kind of that's not very long. So that's something I don't care for. All right, let me go. We'll see you make a quick call on the 10 meter, sorry, the FTDX 10. We'll try on 20. Big signal here. Use the mouse for that one, why not? My fingers are too big. FT8. My goodness, my span's way too big. Sorry. My span is like it off band. No. Let's go to 50. Now, let's take a look at the waterfall again. It's adjusted because of the reference frequency. We've got to bring it up. So we're now at 2 decibels and we'll bring the waterfall in. See? That's it. Bring it back out. And we'll go chase. Some right here. Some television there. And again, I've put this so that the VFO will spin quicker. To do that, because it comes this way, okay? It's going to come here on this setting. So it's not, sorry, here, excuse me. It's going to come from there. So you're going to enter, and then when you go to adjust it, it's not going to spin very fast. It just doesn't. It's just the way it works. So click in here and adjust from there. It just goes a lot faster for you. You're going by tens, and you can adjust this in menus as well. Menus is simple, okay? I always have RFI there. All right, so now we're going to adjust basically quickly by tens. It's just easier. And again, direct entry is typical to most transceivers today. There's one. Let's give him a call. Pull off the contour. Kilo 7 Hotel November.
Kilo 7 again?
Kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Good morning.
You got Kilo 7 Hotel November.
QSL. You're about a 5'5" here in Independence, Oregon. Name is Larry. You're on Ham Radio Live on YouTube. We're showing the new FTDX 10 by Yaesu. Over.
Kilo 7 Hotel November. You're about to 3.5 into Arizona, which is a school, the University of Arizona.
All right.
What's your
We'll tune. And let me just check frequency, everything. Okay, here we go. So we're at 100. We've got our processing and mic set right, but our EQ is off. Now we'll turn it on. Watch now. Now we'll hear it. You'll see the meter go up. Yeah, this is Kilo 7 Hotel November QRZ. Can you hear me better now? Over.
What's your state?
Let me bring the mic gain up a little more. State is Oregon QSL. Yeah, QSL, no problem. Appreciate the contact. Nice to speak with you. I'll give you 73. Kilo 7, Union Alpha Zulu. Kilo 7, Hotel November. All the best to you there. Thank you. All right, good. So basically that's how it works. Now, I will tell you this. I will tell you that I goofed around with this a lot last night just to get the feel of it better compared to the 101 because it's a smaller package. This one, because it has less buttons on it, it has more menus. That's just how it works. And I mean, with most radios, that's the way it works. When you have fewer buttons to control things, you're going to have more menus to have to search through to make them work. What's nice about the 10 and how they work this radio, do not like this setting. We're going to bring that back up. All right. The way I like this radio much better is that at least you can push and hold in the button or the knob to make it do something like a second function. It works kind of like the Elecrafts do in the way that there's two different settings. The Kenwood 590s do the same thing. The 890 does as well, where the buttons can have one or two functions. In this case, on the FTDX 10, works the same way. You basically have dual control over certain functions. Whether you hold the button in to have adjustability right away of it, and I mean right away, within 3 seconds, okay, or you just pull it out and you use it. You know, you're comfortable with the setting, just put it on, like in this case. You want DNR, just put it on. DNR is there, okay? Pull it out, you're good. You want the contour, press contour. Now your contour is set. Again, contour on this is adjustable through the main menu, operation setting. You're going to go over to contour level in RX DSP and you adjust it. Again, listen to the music, listen to how it sounds. It actually will help it sound better, believe it or not, if you use less. But you're going to have to fight the hash. Just taking it way up. Now you're so high up. But bring it in more neutral. See him start to come in. Adjust the AF. Okay, now adjust the DNR. Just put the DNR on. If the DNR is too high, bring it down. See? Let's see if we wait for him to start talking a little bit. Okay, pull off the contour. Now with it on. See how it brings a little more DSP? That's basically it. By the way, thank you, Stu. It's good to welcome back. That wasn't long. Welcome back. Yeah, so the FTDX10, it has a little box of tricks. It really is. Get used to it. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with this transceiver, but it takes time to work with it, like any radio. But I will tell you this, and this is an absolute truth. This radio, because it has fewer buttons and knobs, it does have more menus to work with. Get used to using them. But with the main control buttons on this transceiver, you can do some very powerful things. That's what makes this so close to the 101. It's not because it uses everything the same. Believe me, you have to fight for it a little more here because there's less real estate. So know the main buttons that are here, okay? Especially your DNR, your noise blanker. Your noise blanker is not going to be as effective for you unless you have an electric fence or, you know, a plasma TV nearby, or maybe you got solar panels from a neighbor or your roof that are causing problems. Certainly you can put the noise blanker on, right? And what's nice about the noise blankers, when you use it, it works just like that DNR. Hit it within 3 seconds so you can get your setting, okay? And it goes away. Okay, that's how it works. On the other side here, you have contour and notch. They work exactly the same way. When you hit your contour button, it'll beep, right? And then essentially you can adjust it in or out. So your notch is here. It's this first button. Contour is the outer ring. Or if you're going to adjust the automatic pass filter, you'll do that here as well. Okay, depends on what you set up in the menus because there's not a separate button for it. If you want to add the notch, press the notch button. Okay, now on the screen, you'll see the notches there, and you simply turn the outer ring and your notch moves. Okay, this is when you're going to notch out frequencies. Say if somebody's a little close, this is really good for contest weekends, right? You got somebody that's maybe a little close, or your regular QSO, right? You're talking to somebody on DX and somebody's 2Ks away and it's just starting to just climb onto your signal and you can't hear the guy very well. Just go to the notch. And on this case, you're just going to pop the notch on and you're going to tune the guy out. Say he's over here above, okay? He's maybe up 2, close to 2. See, you adjust him out. Okay, that's going to bump out that frequency over there and he's not going to be heard anymore. You're just going to hear the signal you want. Then if you don't want to hear it anymore, just press the button and there it's gone. Okay, but it remembers where it was before. Keep that in mind. Once you press the notch again, say maybe you're, I don't know, you're up a dial a little bit, See, it remembers where it was. So you're going to have to bring it back down. Neutral is 1500 hertz. So, and again, 1500 dead center, right at 0. Any questions on the FTDX 10? Feel free and ask them here. This will be the last kind of review that we do on it. Yesterday was more of a full review, but a few extra things I wanted to go over on this show. All right. Coming up, we will have the FTDX 101 back on the channel. So finally back on the channel. Yes. When you've used a transceiver that's that good and you lose it, right? And again, this is nothing against Elecraft. We just couldn't get the transceiver from them. That's all. And they're good people. They're busy. They got a lot of orders to fill. And I understood that. But I didn't want to replace something that wasn't as good as what I had. That's why I went back to the 101. So that'll be back on tomorrow's show. And we'll do just a little segment with this radio and the 101, just so you can hear that the same signal is going to sound pretty much the same out of both of these transceivers. That Rob Sherwood's report is dead on, that these are really close. So if you want to spend less money, but keep in mind only one RX input, right? You don't get SO239s down the line. One. That's it. There's no RX on this transceiver. There's not even an extra antenna input. You only get one, but it's pretty powerful. On the receive end, just use an antenna switch. Just buy an antenna switch. That's how I'm doing it. I'm using the MFJ 1700C. So out of my 3 antennas, I just pick which antenna I want to use, change the switch on the transceiver I want to use. And in my case, I have transceiver. I got the cable going out from that 3rd position, going out my window, down around my house, and over to where my zero gravity chair is. From there, I've got the ground that's been put right in the ground there near the transceiver, comes into the window, right to the transceiver, right next to my chair. Can use this radio right next to my chair in comfort and not hurt. So I'll be on the air a lot. Look for me. I'll be on the air now because I'm really excited to do this. All right. So folks, we're going to close the show out. I want to leave you with this great sign off, a fun one. This was one of the most classic radio stations in all of the United States in the 1960s and 1970s. It's when AM radio was in its heyday. It's the reason why so many of us my age and older remember how great AM radio was. Now, on the west coast of the United States, out of San Francisco, there was a station that everyone wanted to take down. It was 610 KFRC. This is the last part of their transmission from back in 1986. They literally brought air talent in from all over the world that had worked there before. And one of them you might recognize if you listen to WCBS in New York City. Broadway Bill Lee is his name now. It goes by Broadway Bill Lee. He's their afternoon guy, WCBS. He starts on this. He was the night guy at KFRC back in the early 80s. I hope you enjoy it. This is really a piece of radio history, the very end of KFRC San Francisco. And you'll hear the legendary voice of their morning guy, Dr. Don Rose. Bless his soul. He's a special guy. We miss him. The radio world lost a big one when we lost Dr. Don. So enjoy this. It's from back in 1986, the very end of KFRC, as they count down their top 610 most requested songs. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit that subscribe button. I don't monetize. I don't ask for money from you. I don't have a tip jar. I don't have a Patreon. I do this because I want to give back and help people to get on the air. That's pure and that's real. You can help me by hitting subscribe. Thank you so much for watching Ham Radio Live. Until next time, God bless you. My name is Larry, Kilo 7 Hotel November. All the very best in happiness and health to you and yours. Goodbye, everybody.
Together.
That feels good. At KFRC. Hi, I'm Bill Lee. Remember me? Haven't been on these airwaves since 1983. Boy, since then had a lot of good luck, a lot of bad luck. Been through drink, been through smoke, been through glue, but you know something? Lionel Richie shows me that I'm still stuck on you. 456, y'all.
You're a hoser, too.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee, I want to talk to you about something.
What?
Temptation.
Temptation?
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg and plead for your sympathy, sympathy. I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me. Ain't too proud to beg, sweet darling. Please don't leave me, girl. Don't you go.
Oh, you know, Duke didn't think we could do it without the record
We
either.
did
but
it
I knew
without
we
the
could.
record.
Listen, you know what? You ran your own console, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to run my own console because I'm a chicken, but I'm going to have some fun with a jingle that I have wanted to play on KFRC since I was about knee-high to a grasshopper. Hit it! KFRC San Francisco, yeah! Candy Chamberlain checking in, and are you ready? I certainly hope you are. The top 610 songs of all time, and here's Credence.
KFRC, San Francisco.
Good evening. 20 years ago, I was the very first jock at KFRC when they started the big countdown, and 21 years ago, I was fired. Good evening. 365 on the all-time hit. It's going to take me 3 hours to relax and feel like I know what I'm doing. I'm Bobby Dale, welcoming you to a weekend celebrating 20 years of rock music at the Big 610 KFRC. And we've got the Grassroots coming up with number 362, Midnight Confession.
KFRC, this is Dave Sholin, and we have Terry Nelson standing by. He'll be joining in a moment, talking about his days when he was here in the afternoons, and sitting right alongside of me. I'll tell you, I went to Los Angeles. I was here in San Francisco, of course, born and raised, grew up on KFRC, got my chance to be here, and then in 1977, this company shipped me down. They sent me to Los Angeles to be the national music director for our chain of stations, the RKO chain, and back in 1980, I had a chance to return to San Francisco. One of the people that brought me back is right here, and he is the publisher of the Gavin Report in San Francisco. Ron Fell, nice to have you come by and say hello. And his fan club. Now, Ron, when I first got to KFRC, why don't you tell everybody what you were doing at that time and back in 1974?
Back in 1974, I was programming KNBR in San Francisco. Now, you have to admit that we've known each other a lot longer than that.
Yes.
We were students at San Francisco State together back in the mid-'60s.
That's right. We were listening to some of the people that we have heard here over the weekend. Steve O'Shea and Mike Phillips, Bobby Dale, who was here late last night. Bobby had one of the great lines last night, I must tell you. He had a great line. He was playing Born to be Wild and said, "Born to be wild, but I'm too weak." Yes, it's true. One of the stars that made those 20 years so special, right here with me, who is now in Sacramento. Welcome,
Yes.
Terry Nelson, back to KFRC.
Thank you, Dave. It's nice to be here. I can't believe I'm part of the Big 610 20th anniversary, you know. This was my goal radio station. If there was any place in the whole wide world that anybody ever wanted to work, there was number one. This was it. And when I hit KFRC, I was in heaven. I came up here, met some great people, had some good times, did so many neat things. This has always been a first-class radio station. But I'm telling you, it is nice to be a part of this 20th anniversary. Hello, San Francisco, and I'm ready to have some fun with you today.
Oh, yeah.
KFRC. I've got to play one more. This is Terry Nelson celebrating the 20th anniversary of rock and roll. The rhythm of the city is here. Always was, always will be. 610 KFRC. You win.
610 KFRC, counting down the 610 all-time favorite songs of Northern California with America's favorite disc jockey.
Hey, what a guy!
Yes, it's me, Bobby Ocean, part of the festivities and celebration, and here with you. One of the best days to listen to the radio when it's rainy outside.
Listening's more fun on the number one sound in town, the wonderful Radio 61.
And here's some guys that...
Jane Dorgan. I thought something like the engineers at KFRC.
Wait a minute. The last I heard, you were in Detroit. They'd had engine trouble.
So I called Phil, and he just flew right out and got me.
Boy, now that's speed.
I know. Well, you know, the engineers at KFRC.
Oh, Jane, you're a sight for sore eyes. You look terrific.
Well, thank you.
You look terrific. Well, now, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, I came here for the 23 reunion.
Okay, we talked about you. Yeah, you're going to take off your jacket.
Yeah.
Your San Francisco 49er jacket. A million memories. All of those great jocks. All of the music of your life. We grew up together. And for all of us who are the Big 610, be proud. because we never limp on the radio.
KFRC, San Francisco.
Amen. I'm going to keep coming back till I get it right. Marvelous Mark, 4 o'clock. Turn this sucker up. KFRC. Who belongs to that silly guffaw?
It's me, Shannon.
Shannon, welcome back to the Big 610.
Hi. God, it's so good to be back here. 610 KFRC, we are celebrating 20 years of rocking Northern California, and I am so proud and so happy to be a part of it. I'm Shannon. Remember me? I do remember you. Here's Roy Orbison, a song that was written for me.
Well, we've got some unfinished business left. That business of the top 610 countdown. Going to resume right where we left off last night with number 150.
KFRC, San Francisco.
Guess what time it is? Well, for one thing, it's exactly 10 o'clock at KFRC, San Francisco, home of the oldies. That's wait a minute. Where's the program director around here? He's talking about program directors. We're doing this bit, of course, our 20th anniversary celebration, but we had a program director here, Jerry Kegel, who when you and I used to do our special little shtick at 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in those days, and I would hear the cheap gags morning. Yes. He would always just continue to say, listen, you've got to play the song. I mean, you can't stop and talk. You've got to go. The news ends and just play that song. We have no delays here, no breaks. So if he's listening now, sorry, Jerry. Taking a small break.
The whole staff is gathered around, and I think we really should be thanking everybody. There's a guy back there that put in innumerable hours, Albert Lord. And Vicki Mann, who's arranged so many things. And, of course, Dave. Where's Dave Sholin?
He's in bed.
I think he's in the hospital at this point. And Stephanie McCormick, the music director, who worked so hard to get all these 610 songs all lined up. Craig Roberts is here to clean up after this mess.
That's right, after that's over. And there's Kyle.
And Mick and everybody else.
Everybody is here.
And George the Zine.
And George Zema, I think, put in as much time as anyone this weekend. I don't think he ever left here.
I was just adding it up. Dr. Dom was here for 24 hours this weekend on the air. And so George was here at least that and then some.
And then, of course, all of those great disc jockeys that were here to add their little thing. And for everybody that's left, this is kind of a symbolic gesture as we take
open the bottle of champagne. Listen.
Pour this out.
All right, let me give you again a recap of the top 10 so far.
Give us the all-time top 10, except for the number one song.
Right. Number 10, The Boss, Dancing in the Dark. Number 9.
He had 2 in the top 10.
Yes, as did Huey. We Built This City by Starship. Number 8, listen to that, My Girl by The Temptations. Number 7, Huey Lewis and the Noobs, The Heart of Rock and Roll. Number 6. Wallow's here. Wallow. You want this IV as usual? Where were we? 6, Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock.
He wants to know if he can get into the program here.
Give him a bottle of the nitrate.
No, stop it.
Number 5, The Power of Love, Huey Lewis and the News. Number 4, 3-minute record with a 4-minute fade, Hey Jude, the Beatles.
Yeah, that's right.
Number 3, Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin. Number 2, Born into Utah by Bruce Springsteen.
Okay. And now I think everybody should
we've been spending 20 years getting towards.
Let's all touch our glasses together.
Clink, clink, clink.
China.
Because we really have thanked just about everybody but our employer, KFRC. And KFRC is more than a radio station. It's a spirit. It's a spirit that goes for hundreds and hundreds of miles and goes through countless souls and hearts and minds. And it's given us all an opportunity to do what we love to do. So KFRC, here's to you. And here's to you, the listeners, because ultimately, you're the ones that decide our fate. And now, we got to leave you with the biggest and the best.
Number 1, here it is now. The Stones on KFRC.
KFRC, San Francisco.